the WNBA continues to get the kind of attention they shouldn't want. All right. Again, Colin Cowherd is making a point to talk about the WNBA again. He does it now multiple times a week, but only when it comes to one player, or in this case, one player and what it is the rest of the league is doing to her.
So apparently, trading Caitlin Clark is now an actual conversation. And just as Indiana starts catching its breath, here comes Colin Cowherd, lobbing gasoline on the rumor bonfire like it's a hobby he gets paid overtime for. The man never met a hot take he didn't like, and this one might just ignite a full-blown basketball civil war. Is he being over the top? Without question. But is he completely off base? That's where things start to get interesting.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, pettiness has no bounds. For years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated. And then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like. When the wave hits, ride it. They wanted to fly private. They wanted to be more popular. They wanted sold out arenas. They got it. I wouldn't have guessed that Caitlin Clark would be this.
Here we go again, watching the WNBA treat self-sabotage like it's part of the official rulebook. Forget building rosters or expanding the fan base. That's old news. Now we're into plot twists. And the latest stroke of genius? Trade Caitlin Clark like she's some holographic Pokemon card and call it strategy. As if that wouldn't torch the entire league. Not just Indiana. The whole operation would detonate in a spectacular blaze of mismanagement and meltdown.
This is clearly them cutting her down, because when you look at fan voting, obviously Clark is one, right? Because she has the most fans in the league. So that clearly biased. You go to the media voting.
She was 3.
She was 3. That actually makes sense.
I agree. She's not having the best of years this year. She's actually, her shooting is down.
Exactly.
There's been a number of situations that she's just not played her best ball. But she is still much, eons better than a lot of the other players that they voted in front of.
Let's start with the obvious. Trading Caitlin Clark wouldn't just wreck the fever. It would tank the league's only guaranteed cash cow. This isn't just about losing a player. It's about nuking the narrative. Clark isn't simply dribbling a basketball. She's hauling an entire franchise, and let's be real, half the WNBA, into the spotlight with her bare hands. Every ticket sold, every jersey shipped, every headline written. It's all got her fingerprints stamped on it.
A university professor in finance looked up the value of Caitlin Clark for the WNBA. This is insane. So this year, last season in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark was 26.5% of all economic activity as a rookie on the worst team in the league when she entered it. So now she has an 8-year, $128 million deal with Nike. So, she's going to eat. Merchandise in the league went up off a rookie from a Midwest-based school on the worst team in the league, $200.
Now imagine taking all that momentum and shipping it off in a FedEx box. That's the kind of move that makes fans chuck their remotes, cancel season tickets, and turn to pickleball out of pure spite. Because there's regular dumb, and then there's historically stupid. This would be the latter, with extra sprinkles on top.
I'm not going to ignore, nor am I going to take my eyes off of what transpires with the WNBA over the next 2 weeks while Caitlin Clark is out with the quad strain. And the reason why is because, let me tell you something right now. I'm not going to go to word hate. I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific about Caitlin Clark. I think it's what Caitlin Clark represents. See, it's no fault of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark balls. She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did it.
But wait, it gets better. Not only are we entertaining trade rumors like the league's overflowing with superstars to spare, now we've got a coaching twist straight out of a daytime soap. The same coach who once stood by while Caitlin Clark got poked in the eye like it was part of the halftime show is now, conveniently, her boss. Hey, what's next? Promote the trainer who iced her ankles to head of conditioning. Let's not pretend this is subtle. This isn't a coaching hire. It's a setup, a carefully coordinated performance dressed in lanyards and clipboards. And the message? Crystal clear: silence the star, dim the spotlight, and call it team strategy. But we see it. We all see it. Clark didn't just get benched. She got politically sidelined. And the front office didn't just pick a coach. They picked the coach. The one with a resume full of passive-aggressive rotations, selective accountability, and just enough plausible deniability to call it coincidence. Let's be real. Clark and this coach mix like oil and a dumpster fire. This isn't a style clash. It's a full-blown Cold War in sneakers. And the fallout is obvious every time she gets yanked while a bench warmer racks up cardio minutes like it's a charity marathon.
Had another, whatever you want to call it, confrontation in a WNBA game. Like, why is this happening? The Caitlin Clark phenomenon is one that I got wrong. I never really thought that Caitlin Clark would make the difference that she has in college basketball or in the WNBA. What other sports analogies are out there that are in any way similar to the impact that one individual has had on a larger sporting universe? Tiger was...
Why would a league finally basking in the spotlight start pulling this kind of stunt? Simple. Control. Control the narrative. Control the star. Keep the audience entertained, but never empowered. Because the last thing they want is a player with real leverage. That's dangerous. That's disruptive. That's unbenchable. So what do you do when you can't stop the momentum? You hire someone who can. You wrap the takedown in a smile, call it player development, and hope no one sees the strings. But here's the problem. Fans do see it. And what's developing isn't Clark. It's a bad reputation and an angry fan base armed with receipts. This coach wasn't just hired. She was positioned. And if the conspiracy vibes feel strong, it's because they are practically slapping you across the face. Let's not get gaslit into thinking this is some ordinary rookie growth phase. Clark's not in a developmental arc. She's in timeout. Punished for daring to color outside the lines. And make no mistake, this isn't about basketball anymore. This is calculated. It's personal. It's political. And here's the kicker. Everyone's pretending this coach is just playing it safe. Like there's a grand plan behind the curtain. But real safety, real strategy, that means using your best weapon, not duct taping her brilliance and hoping nobody notices.
She doesn't always get the consistent great star whistle. I think they're still kind of figuring out how to officiate her. Right? Like I've said this for years when I covered Shaq and went to Shaq got fouled more than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, it was insane. People bounced off Shaq. Jokic complains constantly. Like, people are bouncing off me. She doesn't quite get as favorable a whistle as you think. So I think
neither does Steph too.
This isn't chess. It's sabotage with a whistle. And everyone sees it. The fans see it. The broadcasters see it. Twitter sees it. Even the popcorn guy in row 5 sees it. Meanwhile, the rest of the league? Oh, they'd love to see Caitlin Clark shipped off like a sacrificial lamb. Can you imagine the chaos? Drop her in Vegas and they'd have a statue built by Thursday. Send her to New York and she'd be headlining Times Square before her first practice. But keep her trapped in Indiana under this regime? That's like storing fireworks in a freezer. Nothing's going to explode, and everyone walks away disappointed. And yet somehow, the rumor mill keeps churning out this delusional idea that trading her would help the team. Help who, exactly? The lottery odds? The backup point guard's confidence? The merchandise team that's already 2 months behind on Clark jerseys? Because spoiler alert, without her, Indiana isn't rebuilding. They are vanishing. Clark is the only reason national networks are pulling WNBA highlights out of the editing bay. She's why middle-aged guys who couldn't name 5 players last season are suddenly lecturing strangers about pick-and-roll defense. She's not just a rookie. She's the lifeline, the headline, and the bottom line. You don't trade that. You don't shop that. You protect it like it's the Ark of the Covenant, sealed, sacred, and untouchable.
Know who Caitlin Clark is. She's the golden goose, laying those golden eggs for the WNBA to prosper. Well, a lot of times we notice that The WNBA is resisting this golden goose and resisting this bump and this force of nature, which is Caitlin Clark. So we're going to dive deep into that. What's behind that? Is jealousy, envy, pettiness, all the above, more than that? We're going to have to go.
But if the goal was to crush momentum, benching her is a hell of a first step. Hiring her basketball nemesis as head coach, that's the icing on a nuclear cake. All it takes is a little PR gloss, some polished press conferences, a few buzzwords like versatility and system fit, and suddenly the sabotage looks strategic. Honestly, it's almost impressive how calculated it feels. Like someone in a boardroom leaned back and said, "Let's hire the one coach in the league who could make Caitlin Clark look replaceable." Because that's the mission: break the hype, flatten the curve, restore the old hierarchy. And if it costs a few wins along the way, oh well, call it collateral damage. So no, this isn't about rookie development or growing pains. This is about power. Power the league doesn't want concentrated in a single player. Power the front office doesn't want showing up to post-game interviews, owning headlines, and rewriting the narrative. Power that threatens the status quo every time she drops a logo 3 or lasers a one-handed pass through traffic. The league could have embraced it. They could have ridden the wave, let the magic happen, and watched an entire new generation of fans fall in love. Instead, they built a dam and hired a lifeguard to stand in front of it with a clipboard, pretending there's no water behind it. Trading her wouldn't just be a mistake. It would be a declaration. A flaming 5-alarm middle finger to progress. Fans and the future of the sport. And here's the part they don't seem to understand. Fans won't just tune out. They'll walk away. Because greatness doesn't need managing, it needs unleashing. And watching it get boxed up like an off-season afterthought. That's not strategy. That's sabotage. And nobody pays to watch a league light itself on fire.
Part of it, the players vote, that I take some exception to. And I'm not a big Caitlin Clark fan. Like, I don't care either way. But they vote her 9. And why I find that absolutely hilarious is you can say she's 9 if you want, but you don't treat her like she's 9. Because when she was here in town, they were picking her up 3/4 court the entire game, and they had her double teamed the entire game. Now, is your shooting efficiency going